So, saying all this, now let's get to some of the things that happened this week. There was the biggest thing that happened was Jeff Hardy with some issues that went on. What do you know about this?
Yeah, so Jeff Hardy was moved over to SmackDown so that he could be looked after a little better because you've got Michael Hayes over there. He's also got Roman Reigns who wanted to work with him. Now, Roman Reigns is working through somewhat of a wish list of people with Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Rey Mysterio, people like that who he wants to work with. He's been able to work with everybody. Jeff Hardy was a guy he wanted to have a match with, and that was one of the reasons he was moved over. Secondary, he was moved over because of Michael Hayes being there, because Hardy has had some issues. So when people are talking about how this was a one-off incident, it wasn't. There was like a few health issues before, but they were health issues in terms of him being on painkillers and things of that nature. From what I understand, the word alcohol was not mentioned to me by anybody. So my understanding is that it wasn't alcohol related. Now, we've got these idiots on Twitter, or these fake news guys. Some of them are British. One of them's Brad Shepard, who is a guy that has absolutely zero credibility in the world. He's an absolute nobody who knows nobody. I don't understand how or why Bin Hameen has him on his network. But he was out there after Jeff Hardy was taken off the road at that weekend, saying that he's heard that Jeff Hardy's been drunk at autograph signings and he's had all these problems. And then when he got released, he was celebrating, going, "Oh, I told you so." Because I tweeted him going, "You're full of shit." He retweeted me when I told you so. It's like, dude, you told me nothing. Because there have been no autograph signings in the WWE. The only things they've been doing is they've been doing signings at SummerSlam, and one or two people have been going out for sponsors. The only other thing they've been doing is before the house shows and before TV, they have the platinum packages. There's two levels of these things. One is like the super VIP, which is $400. That means you meet 3 wrestlers before the show, you get a goodie bag, and you sit on the front row. And when you sit on the front row, you get to take your chair home. For $250 less, you get the whole same experience, except you sit on front row of the 100 section. So you're on row 1 of the 100 section. So you don't get the chair home and you're not in the front row. So for $150 less, you get that hard cam seat, but you still meet the 3 wrestlers before and you get the goodie bag. So they sell these packages for $250 and $400. My understanding is, looking at the schedule I was given, Jeff Hardy wasn't on any of those. So
when was side note, when was the last time you had really great seats? I'm thinking it was when we went to New Orleans and Drew gave us tickets. You've gone since, though, in England, right?
I get the same seats every time. I get those same seats every time.
Before that, I think the best seats I had were 5th row at Mania 13. I had one time tickets for front row at, I believe, Oakland Coliseum way back. And it was like, I think it was Hogan and Earthquake were fighting in the main event. And that's when main event was in the middle of the show. And we got there late because my buddy's father couldn't find the damn place, which is right off a highway, by the way. But I'm like, I would love to be front row again. I haven't had that in, I don't know, what was I, 14, 15 at the time when I had front row last. I would love to have front row one more time, just for, fun, S's and giggles. But
we're just marks like you guys, except we have we have jobs.
I got a life at the same time with as you see, TV's on pause because I had to pause the TV because I go, watch, YouTube will block it because it's showing what's on actual TV. They'll block you, so I had to make sure to put it on pause over here.
The Bucks are up by 7 and it's 1st and goal.
One of these days, I got to show everybody this room as a treat almost, and because I have 6 TVs, actually 7. There's one behind me, but that's not hooked up to a cable. That's just apps. But that's all for football season. And so I have everything in this room going on with all the games at once so I could watch, because nothing's better than football, even though I'm wearing a hockey jersey, but I decided to mix it up. There's some contract offers.
I haven't finished with that. Just give me the last part of that. In that sense, the release surprised me due to that issue, because there's another story out there. We didn't talk about this the other day. So I talked about Brad Shepard and his and talked about how Jeff hadn't been on those VIP signings, the 400 or the 250 signings that happened before the show. There's also JD from New York who's saying that Jeff Hardy pretended he'd gone back to drinking to get his release to AEW.
That would be brilliant.
Right. problem with that is that this guy was about to receive and was on the midst of his biggest push that he's had in how long has it been? 2009.
A decade?
12 years ago. So he was about that they were looking, and it was on hold because of the few problems he had on Raw. So they were looking at Jeff Hardy, but they didn't want to commit to the marketing for Willow. Now there was a plan in place to bring back Willow. Perhaps this would have been executed quicker had they not had these problems with the video game that I spoke about. Had they not had these problems with Mattel, because they're already having issues with Mattel with loads of figure lines coming out with the wrestlers no longer being in the company. So this Willow figure would have come out in July 2022, and Jeff Hardy wouldn't have been there. So they had to hold back on this. But the idea was for Willow to feud with Roman Reigns on the road to WrestleMania. Now, this is the in-between program between Rumble and Mania. That was the idea. So that is complete when you're saying that Jeff Hardy was released because they had nothing for him, or they didn't care about him, or even worse, he deliberately tried to get himself into AEW. What? So he can go and stand next to Darby Allin and feud with his brother. Like, absolute nonsense.